Hey guys, so today's video is going to be a bit different than the other videos I do usually. I know that so far my videos have been about PvP and PvP guides and things like that, but I think today is going to be a little bit different. The channel is growing and things. I want to start doing some new types of videos and things like that. And this video in particular, what I call Let's Talk Guild Wars. Not very fancy name, but I thought it was nice and easy to know. It'll be about all sorts of things going on in the Guild Wars 2 community and things like that, and all sorts of other stuff like news about updates and patch notes and new stuff coming out and things like that, and maybe discussion on certain things. I might combine this with another new video type I'm deciding to start doing, and I'll talk about a little bit of that later. So it's just kind of an overview of all sorts of things going on. I hope that it's informative to you guys, and for those who don't like to look at Twitter or anything like that, you can come here and you can sit down and listen to all the things going on right now. So let's just get right into it. So the first thing I wanted to talk about is the beta weekend this weekend. So if you have pre-purchased Heart of Thorns, you'll be able to participate in the last beta weekend they're going to have before Heart of Thorns is released. So if you haven't pre-purchased it already, go do that right now. Otherwise, you're not gonna have the chance to play anything until you get till it is released. And if you're like some of the friends that I have, maybe you don't want to spoil stuff for yourself or things like that. But I will definitely be playing in the beta weekend because I am stoked to try out all the different specializations, and I'll be giving my feedback on all of them after the beta weekend has ended. So I'll be playing through it all, and in fact, as an addition to that news, I will also be streaming Friday, Saturday, and Sunday this weekend in the afternoon. I'm not sure what time yet. I think it will be 12 p.m. like normal, possibly, maybe a little bit later, because there are things I need to do before I actually start doing anything that I have to do in the morning. But definitely be doing that, so you can come join me. I'll definitely put up announcements on YouTube and Twitter, tell you when I'm streaming and stuff. So the other thing I wanted to talk about today is skill balance. So we had a huge, I wouldn't say huge, but a kind of large skill balance patch that came by, and it kind of fixed a few things. I won't go through the entire thing because you can find all that info on the Guild Wars 2 website, in the forums, in the PvP forums, or you can even look for it. It's been on Stronghold everywhere. I'd just rather talk about some of the important key things that I thought were quite significant. Most noticeably was to the Elementalist. Really, my take on this whole change over Elementalist kind of dictated my attitude towards it a little bit, because it kind of maybe gave me a bad taste in my mouth, because I've always said that the only reason that things are kind of crazy right now is because burning is such a strong condition right now. It's so strong, it stacks up so high, it does so much damage. I really wish that instead of changing these things on the Elementalist, they could have just changed burning overall, because it's not a fun. There's a lot of non-fun builds around that kind of make it unfun to play the game. Burn guard, that just kind of it's not that it breaks it, it's not that it's broken, it's not fun. It's not fun to play against those classes, and it actually makes other classes less fun. For example, my friend who really likes to play Thief, he's a Thief main, he's main Thief, he has played Thief his almost entire time playing Guild Wars 2. He can't play it anymore because burning is so strong and it just gets flung out everywhere, and not just from Ellie's. It's from Guardians, it's from Rangers, it's from NGs, it's from everything. It seems to be that it's just as strong, it just stacks up so high. It's no matter how much condition cleansing he does, which there's not a lot of on the Thief, it just makes it unfun to play. It just makes it so harder to play the class that he loves to play, and I don't think that is a good direction for anything. But besides that opinion, the Elementalist got its burning durations nerfed, and certain stacking intensities on certain skills. For example, Fire Breath no longer stacks so much. The duration of the stacks aren't as long. Drake's Breath, and on the Fire Ring on Dagger 4, it does a initial 2 stacks of burning for like 4 seconds, and then every time you cross over the line, it's no longer like 5 seconds of burning. Or no, it's no longer 3 stacks of burning for 4 seconds, it's 1 stack of burning for 2 seconds. So a bit of a change, makes Ellie's a little bit more manageable in certain instances. The other thing significant was Dragon's Tooth on the Scepter was turned into a ground targeted skill, which I thought should have been done a long time ago, but that finally they're getting to that and stuff like that. I still wish they kind of buffed Scepter a little bit. Seems like it needs a little bit more. They did something else. They increased the 2 skill on water for Scepter. They made it do a little bit more, tiny bit of damage, and apply 1 more stack of vulnerability. There's a lot of things that still need to be cleaned up on that skill, that weapon set to maybe bring back fresh air builds and stuff like that into the meta. Actually, other significant change on the Elliot was that Ice Bow is nerfed. It does 50% less damage, and it only hits 3 targets now. So, if although I think there was some, I don't know if it was if it's just me or if it's other people, but my LA seems to still do the same amount of damage that it used to do, and my Guardian, when I use the Ice Bow instead, doesn't do as much. So maybe there's some discrepancy there. I'm not sure, but overall has been reduced by 50%. So really only bringing Ice Bow for the freezing component of it instead of the damage component. The other significant changes were to Guardian, thankfully. Oh my gosh, these are exactly the changes that I had been asking for a long time. On the shield in particular, the Shield of Judgment now applies 4 seconds of Aegis and 4 seconds of protection. So now it applies Aegis, so you have on-demand Aegis from your shield. So if you can time things, and the 4 seconds gives it enough, I think gives enough wiggle room to block certain skills, but it also applies the Aegis to yourself and to your allies. So it's on-demand Aegis without having to, use your Virtue of Courage for no apparent reason, or to use your, or to pop, if you're using Renewed Focus, you don't have to pop that if you need to get the Aegis back. You can use Shield of Judgment for the Aegis that you need. And the other change, and this is amazing, is that now Shield of Absorption is a 4-second duration, the channel time, but you can move around with it. So it just blew my mind, and I was like, wait, they did what? When I heard that, I was just super surprised. I was like, whoa, they did that. It's kind of like how before NG's shield on the number 4, like the little bubble that they put themselves in, you couldn't move. You used to, a long while ago, you couldn't move when you use that skill. Then they changed it to moving. And now they've done the same thing for Guardian. It still knocks back and it reflects. It was amazing. I actually, a little bit of a story. I actually been in a match and I shielded my friend as he was being hailed down by ranger arrows. I just got in front and protected him. I was like, I got you. It felt so cool. It felt so good. It felt like what a Guardian's supposed to do. I was so happy that they made those changes. They made those changes perfectly. The other significant change on the Guardian was that Feel My Wrath was increased to 45-second cooldown instead of a 30-second cooldown, which I think I'm okay. I agree with. It was a really strong skill. Although I don't think that it keeps people from using it, because it's still really good. It's still a great skill, and if you bring Pure Voice, it's still down to like a 32-second cooldown or something like that, so it's still not too bad. Another important change came on the NG. A really key thing that was changed was that your healing turret got changed a little bit. The flip skill on the healing turret, when you place it, was fixed. And it works with the trait Automated Medical Response. And if you don't know what that trait is, basically what it does is at 50% health, your healing skill is instantly recharged. The unfortunate thing with people using healing turrets was that the healing turret skill itself was recharged, but not the actual flip skill. So when you place the healing turret down, you get a flip skill called Cleansing Burst. It puts out a little burst of healing, like around 2,000, so 2.4. And a little bit in a water field, so that you can blast it, actually do even more healing. The unfortunate thing is that it never used to recharge with automated medical response. So now it does that, and now it also scales. It also allows it to scale based on 50% of healing power, so it even kind of buffed it a little bit. So that's a really significant change to NG. The other one is that Mortar Kit is now affected by explosive powder. So it gives a little bit more damage, which is great. Now the most noticeable change for Mesmer was the change. It was a very, very tiny change to Portal. So the Portal is now updated so that the actual little icon on your bar that shows that you placed a portal actually now has a duration. So it can tell you how long you have to place the exit portal for your portal, so that you know when it's going to run out, when it's going, when things are going to happen. So I just left high and dry when you've just kind of like, you've gone too far, taken too long, and now you know when to place it. The other thing is that sword auto attacks got increased by 10% all over, which is nice because, you know, it gives a bit more damage. And there wasn't really any huge big changes to Mesmer. Harmonious Mantras, the duration got increased from 8 to 10 seconds, and the Phantasmal Disenchanter, they reduced the attack recharge by 2 seconds. So now attacks less often. A pretty important change that came to Necromancer was the change to Corrosive Poison Cloud. So if you don't know what Corrosive Poison Cloud is, it's a AoE skill. I think it's a corruption skill, I believe. I can't remember. I'm not that versed in Necromancer utility skills. But basically it placed down this poison cloud that poisoned people. I think it also applied weakness if I remember. But now it's been updated to destroy projectiles that enter into its area. So now it kind of acts like a destructive version of a Guardian Reflection Wall. So this kind of brings up a neat point that I want to talk about, where it seems like Necromancer might have a place in raids and possibly dungeons. Or I mean dungeons, and when I talk about dungeons, I mean fractals, or if you want to include all the other dungeons, that's fine. But it might start bringing it slowly up to the point where they might be more useful for certain things. The other change to Necromancer that was pretty important was a bug fix on Signet of Vampirism that prevented it from actually healing properly. I noticed that there, and I had this problem when I was playing Necromancer actually. I noticed that when I used my Signet of Vampirism, it wasn't healing for me for as much as I thought it was. So there was a bug that actually prevented the healing values to be accurate enough to match the ones listed on the facts, so they changed that, which was really awesome, so they can heal properly now. The other thing is that Axe has gotten increased range to 900, and they increased the damage to its auto attack, and they also increased the range of the Ghastly Claws, and they reduced the recharge of Unholy Feast. The other big important change to Necromancer was that now Lich Form and Plague Form no longer destroy your minions. So now you can use Lich Form and have all these wonderful minions running around you, and you can use Plague Form and have all these wonderful minions running around you. So that's really awesome. On the Scepter, they decreased the bleeding duration on the auto attacks, but they increased the poison duration on the auto attacks. And on the number 2, they increased the bleeding duration. They also increased the damage and increased the cripple duration. And on Feast of Corruption, which was the 3, it now grants life force and an addition, and another 1% per additional condition. Also applies 2 stacks of torments for 4 seconds, and additional 1 stack per condition on the target. So a little bit more condition damage to Scepter. Hopefully means that maybe, you know, Terramancer might come back, or Condimancer, or, you know, some of the old Necromancer builds that I actually fell in love with when Necromancer, you know, to the days of old. A really noteworthy change to the Ranger is on one of its healing skills. We heal as 1. Now that, and let me phrase this properly. So on the heal now, the skill simultaneously copies all boons from your pet to you and from you to your pet. So you basically are sharing boons between your pet and yourself. So if your pet has 15 might and you use the heal as 1, you'll get 15 might. If you have protection, the pet will get protection. So you're kind of just like exchanging boons to each other, and that makes the heal skill really good. And in fact, there's a trait that I actually tried running that gives regeneration and swiftness, I think, or might give regeneration and protection. I can't really remember. That decreases shouts, and actually on use of shout, you gain those 2 boons. So like if you gain them, you also share them to your pet. So kind of cool. You can do some fun boon sharing stuff. The other noteworthy thing on the Ranger was the most dangerous game trait, which beforehand was a trait they gave you 1 stack of hell, or 1 stack of might for 3 seconds every second you were below half health. Now, it was changed to grant 5 stacks of might for 3 seconds every second. So if you are below 50% health for 3 seconds, you will have 15 stacks of might. So that's a really cool change, although it's kind of in a weird, now that it has that, I think it's kind of in a strange trait line. Oh, this thing's skirmishing. it kind of makes sense in the skirmishing line, but it kind of it messes with my power build a little bit because I don't run skirmishing. I run the other one, marksmanship, for the read the wind trait. So but if you're running full, like, on damagey, there you go. That's a cool trait to bring. Unfortunately for the thief, and this is the most disappointing part, the thief got the short end of the stick when it came to the changes. It got bonus damage to its pistols. So if you're running pistols, you'll do a bit more damage. Traps have been normalized for all classes and specializations, so they have 5 minutes before they expire. And on warrior, they got some decreases and increases on their shield skills, which was really cool. Also, rousing resilience got a base healing increased by 130%. So if you're gonna do a break stun build, I guess Berserker, this will be really cool because you'll just be healing like crazy. I think I can try to come up with something really cool with a beta weekend with this trait. So we'll see how that goes. And besides that, they had a bunch of, new Halloween stuff in the trading post to get ready for Halloween and things. And some other things have gone to the Black Lion chests, like finishers and stuff. So now you can get finishers, tradable finishers, from the Black Lion chests. So go spend your gems for finishers. And that was all of the changes, not all of the changes actually, but just the key things that I thought were worth mentioning. I'll put a link in the description below to the forum post by the devs. And you can go check out all the nitty-gritty details if you want to. If I tried to explain every single one, this video would be way too long, and it's already taking a long time. So let's get on to the next thing, which is guild stuff. So this week is guild week. If you didn't know already, that means that ANET is having a bunch of Twitch streams on certain guild-specific improvements. So most notably, they talked about the other day was the change to missions. So I'll briefly go over a few of the things. So new guild mission types, instead of just bounty trek, palette challenge, puzzle and stuff, we'll have PvP and World v World challenges or missions as well. And they'll be a little bit, not as specific, like you have to go kill this thing. It's more like, oh, take down 2 forts, or, in player versus player or PvP, or capture this many points, or kill this many players with this class or that class, or kill with this skill or whatever, something like in that realm of description. And there's other things like you'll get favor from these things, new currency. They actually looked at inside of the guild building, I forgot what it's called, the guild building, where you actually start your trek to find the guild hall in Heart of Thorns. So if you didn't know, we have guild halls in Heart of Thorns now, and they're full of yummy goodies like buildings that give you special bonuses and armor and other things like that. There's a whole blog post on that on the website. The other thing that they talked about were, and this is actually really cool and really awesome, I think, is instance missions for challenges and puzzles. So challenges were kind of these events that happened somewhere in the world, and you had to complete a task to complete the challenge. For example, there is a script one where you have to defend this script village from these ogres. Or Ettins, I think they're Ettins, yeah, Ettins. And you just have to keep killing wave and wave of Ettins until it's over. Before, if there was a guild doing the challenge and it was almost complete, you would have to sit around and wait for that challenge to be completed. Or you could join in if you wanted to. But sometimes that kind of caused problems because some people wouldn't get rewards and some people would. So it's just better to wait sometimes for the challenge to finish. Same thing with puzzles. Puzzles were like kind of not 100% jumping puzzles and not 100% puzzles, like 50% jumping, 50% puzzle. So you would go through this like this maze, or you go through these areas that have different puzzles for you to complete, and they include some jumping as well. And you just go through and get to the end, you get a chest at the end. And if a guild was already inside, then you might have to wait a little bit. It might not be worth it to go in while this guild is going in, because it might be too far into the puzzle, or the timer is like just way too far, going way too just like ticking down, excuse me, it's not just ticking down lower and lower, and you don't want to go in and get yourself locked in, can't activate the puzzle. So there was a lot of technicalities that came with that. And now all of these missions, both of these types of missions, will be instanced So that helps out guilds a little bit and doing missions and stuff. The guild panel was changed to do a bunch of things. You can go check that out on the Twitch. They actually put up on YouTube, the actual Twitch stream. You can go check out the cool new UI for the guild panel. My whole kind of feeling over this kind of guild week, this new style of streaming is actually, I hope that as we get closer to hot, every week we'll get something new. So at least that's what I hope. I kind of hope that, you know, they take this as guild week. Maybe next week is like raid week or something like that, you know, this type of week. And the week after that is, you know, X week or whatever, you know, some sort of week. I hope that they take that kind of progression through and kind of go a bit more in depth with all of these different things. And hopefully we get to learn a little bit more about how all these new systems work and all that stuff. I mean, we all know that raids are going to include bosses, but we're not really sure how the bosses work. I mean, we're not really sure what their mechanics are, what makes these raids so difficult. I mean, we've heard things like, you gotta glide away, or you gotta, you know, do this kind of, you know, pat your head, rub your belly at the same time, you know, kind of deal. Well, what is that exactly? And, you know, to be honest, maybe I don't want to know. Maybe I don't really want to know about the mechanics until I actually test them out. So that's the thing. The last thing I wanted to talk about was a little bit on the channel itself. And this is kind of wrapping up with the video because it's going on way too long. So the channel, I've decided, and I kind of mentioned this at the beginning, so I'm going to be changing up how my videos are formatted now. PvP guides will be, I'll just start right off the bat with PvP guides. I won't even go into any news at all. All the news from the channel will be strictly to Let's Talk Guild Wars. And I'll be talking about that kind of at the beginning and near the end as well of those videos. So PvP guide videos will no longer have any news whatsoever, unless it's absolutely 100% important and I don't have enough time to make a Let's Talk Guild Wars video. The other thing is about the channel, I would like to ask you guys, you subscribers of mine, if you're listening, if you're watching, if you really are listening, I would like to start a Q&A video. I'd like to start doing Q&A videos, call it something clever, whatever, I'll come up with the name, something like that, but I would like to start Q&Ing for you guys. So what that means is, if you know what it is, it's question answer, and you guys ask me questions, put them in the comments, send them on Facebook, put them in game, anywhere. And you just ask me any question you want about Guild Wars 2, and Guild Wars 2 Heart of Thorns, or anything else, like, you know, about my life, or, you know, anything, any sort of question you come up with, as long as it's appropriate. I don't want any weird or strange questions about certain, you know, things that we wouldn't want to talk about in a video. Make sure they're relevant to anything, you know, Guild Wars 2 related, or, you know, just, you know, what class you gonna play, or what games you like to play, what other things like that. Things like that. Keep it limited to that, but I would love to answer your guys' questions. I'd like to have a little bit more connection with you guys. I'd like to talk to you. I know I had a stream last weekend and there was a few people in there. We had a bunch of fun and I was so excited to see people there talk to you guys. So please do put questions in the comments. Come to the stream this weekend. Don't forget, beta weekend event this weekend. We're testing out some stuff and that's it. That is the end of the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it so much. Hopefully I gave you enough news and I hope you enjoyed, and I will be doing a PvP guide video tomorrow. So, as usual, I'll see you guys later. Bye!